Okay, welcome. In this little video presentation, we want to talk about the standard 2020 implementation of the product. And as you can see here on my screen, we've broken down the implementation into a series of standard tasks and then grouped them into the different applications or modules that your 2020 system will have installed. So every project obviously is going to start with some general tasks. And you'll notice here that each one of these groupings, general, accounting, they all have the standard tasks associated with them. We treat each application as if it were its own little mini implementation. So if we were to look at one of these, let's get a little bit more specific and look at accounting, for example. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to develop what your business requirements are. The next thing that we're going to do is make sure that accounting is installed. Let's get you start working with the system as it is intended just out of the box. Once the system is set up and running, the next thing that we want to do is some basic training and workflow. Again, we want to teach you and show you how the system is intended to be used right out of the box without any customizations or changes to it. During that process, after you've gone through that training, the next step would be to have you review that process and start to develop a gap analysis or look for holes in the system. Look for things that need to be improved, that might need to be enhanced or customized so that it meets your specific business requirements. The next step is data. In accounting here, we would be getting in your chart of accounts and your general ledger. We're getting in your customers, putting in the different products and cost codes and all of the data that is reflective and important for the accounting application. Once that is set up and working, then we want to go to the validation and training phase. So we want to actually go through and make sure that your accounting data is valid and that your understanding of how to use 2020 accounting with your data and with your customizations, if any, are in place. The next step would be development. So if we do need to make any changes to forms or to reports or customizations or workflow or whatever that is, then we would set up those tasks and define what that criteria is in the development stage. And then we would determine whether it would be an enhancement that we would just include in our regular development schedule, or maybe something that is specialized for your company that would require a change order, at which time we would talk about what would be required, the time, the effort, and the amount of money that would be required for that change order. And ultimately is a sign off of this particular application, in this case, accounting. So getting you, the customer, to verify that we have gone through this process, that you understand what has transpired, and that you sign off on it. So we have divided the implementation into the general applications of the 2020 system, and each one of those, at a minimum, has those items. You'll notice here in payroll, we have some additional items here. We use 2020 scheduling to manage our implementations as well. And using this system, if we were to open up one of these items here, we can track all of the details. We can also track all of the time that we spend on these particular tasks, any necessary to-do items or subtasks that are related to this particular action item, any discussions that we are working on together. We want to make sure that we are doing our best to keep track of everything that has been discussed and that we're documenting that so that it's available. We can keep track of attachments. And the end result of all of this is, if I were to just step back and look at this particular project, we can then view it in a Gantt view. So it's going to take this and it's going to spread this over a timeline and show us all of the important tasks. We can see that we have some critical path built into this. In this case, we have it grouped by the applications. So this is how we manage our tasks. We have a weekly meeting with our customers in which we talk about a few important things. First of all, we want to look at the schedule. We want to understand where we are in relation to where we should be. If we're behind schedule, then we want to talk about that and document that. If we're ahead of schedule, congratulations to us, and we can, talk about moving other things forward. So the schedule is one of the primary topics that we would discuss here. Also, any issues that may have come up during the previous week. Maybe there's some training issues, or there's some security issues. You can't get in, or you don't have access to certain things. Whatever those issues are, we want to make sure that we are tracking all of the items, making sure whether they're open or closed. And then when we create a new meeting the following week, all of the open items from the previous week would automatically roll over to the following week, so we can discuss those and make sure that we're doing a good job in closing out the open items and staying on track and on schedule. So hopefully that gives you a good general idea of how we manage our implementations. Please let us know if you have any additional questions. We look forward to getting started on your implementation.